afternoon. My name is Heike Heeman. I'm here to interview,
My name is Ellen Throop.
fantastic. Good to have you here with us today on behalf of the Informed Entrepreneur. As you may know, if you've seen some of the other videos, we're doing a series on women business owners in Anne Arundel County. Would you like to start and tell us a little bit about this firm, its history?
Sure. The main principal is Kathleen Elmore. She was originally a manager for communities throughout the state of Maryland, handling condominiums and homeowners associations. She went to law school and then had joined a law firm there. When that firm just dissipated and went their own separate ways, she created Elmore and Associates, and that was in 1995. Then I joined her in 2001 from another law firm, and in 2004 we became Elmore and Throop.
Fantastic.
And that's what we are today.
And the primary focus of law that you are working on is what?
Primarily we deal with the communities, so your homeowners associations, your condominiums and cooperatives throughout the state of Maryland. We also do a little bit of family law and wills and trusts.
Okay, fantastic. In our pre-interview conversation, we talked a little bit about the challenges of managing a firm. You have how big of a team right now?
Right now we have 17 employees, plus Kathleen and myself, and we have 10 of them are full-time, 7 are part-time. So part of that management is who's coming in on what day and who's got a particular seat. They all have their own independent spots, but of course we need to keep track of so-and-so may not be here, so if work needs to be done, can someone else handle it, or can they handle it when they come back? So that's one of the challenges, just dealing with 17 different employees.
Right. And how much time does that take up for the two principals to manage that big a team?
Well, Kathleen's the managing partner, so she gets the bulk of it. And of course it can vary day to day. We do have an office manager who really takes care of a lot of the initial day to day for everybody, be it for us or for the staff, so absolutely phenomenal there. But it can usually be, probably on average, it could be 1 to 2 hours, just with a little back and forth. Sometimes it might be 4 hours if there's a lot of changes going in the office, who's new computer equipment coming in, or we just recently changed over status reports, so then we need to have an office meeting to answer questions and give the staff our plan, why we're doing it, what we want to see, answer all the questions that we have, and finish working it out.
And we talked also a bit about the difference between a two-principal firm versus a larger organization, or maybe a lawyer who is just by him or herself.
Right.
Can you address that a little bit, what the benefits are and what maybe the challenges are?
Certainly. One big benefit with being a solo practitioner, I think I would miss the camaraderie that you'd have with someone, just to be able to walk over to that person's desk and say, what do you think of this? And give them a little background. You wouldn't have that if it were just you. You could pick up a phone, but you might be interrupting a little bit more. I guess you could send an email out, but you might not hear back for a day or two. Whereas you can just stroll into someone's office and say, hey, I've got a question for you. With 100 attorneys, I've never worked in something that had 100 attorneys. I've worked in a firm that had 6 or 8 of us. But even then it was divided up in the sense that certain ones did insurance defense, so there were 4 of us who did that. The others did more, what is it that I couldn't even tell you, workman's comp. So we were all one firm, but we didn't have a lot of interaction with them because we did different aspects there.
Right.
So I like the smallness of the firm. You still get that warm feeling when you go to work. It's not the cold, sterile environment of going in, doing your work, coming out.
Yes.
You know everybody in a smaller firm.
Right. So I like that. It's more intimate.
Yes.
And it's nice that you have your own freestanding building that contributes even more to keeping everyone together.
Yes.
As opposed to satellites.
Right. Now we have office mates on 3 different floors here, but we've set up, through our IT guy, we've got our internal email system. So you can email someone, you can of course call someone, and we do try to keep this main floor as the hub. So my office is downstairs. I just come up when I need to do some work up here, talk to someone, and the people upstairs will come downstairs.
Fantastic.
So that works out well.
Yes.
It works
Everybody
out well.
gets a little bit of a commute.
Little bit, exactly, exactly.
Speaking of, you're in a smaller community here in Severna Park, so commute is really not much of an issue. I would
As long
imagine.
as you're going the right way.
Yes. Which you are.
I do get to go the right way. When I come into work, I'm going against traffic, and when I leave, I'm going the other way.
Nice.
Because if you live in Severna Park, you're probably traveling with the traffic to get out or to
Yes.
come back in.
Right.
So I go the right direction. It works well. It works well.
Now, we mentioned also earlier that you actually travel to see your clients or to go to court all over Maryland.
Correct.
And
Yes.
that can be a challenge too, I would imagine. So do you use any particular, let's say, phone apps or other modern technology things that help make your life as a manager easier?
Usually, electronic-wise, making sure I know where I'm going. I'm always one. I just put Waze on to make sure that I'm not about to run into traffic. There's been numerous times I've been heading toward an appointment at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, because that's usually when we meet with the boards, and traffic's just snarled on 695. Can't go anywhere.
Right.
Waze. It'll send me through the city. I wouldn't know how to get through the city myself, so that's been great for travel,
Right.
and to know the approximate time of arrival, because if we're running late, most of the courts you can probably call and say, I'm on my way, I'll be about 10 minutes late, so that can be very helpful. The phone in and of itself is huge, of course,
Right.
because, you know, if you call a client while you're driving, hands-free
Right.
of course,
Yes.
hands-free of course, and get that done, or just answer a question
Right.
that may have come up because you're trying to get to that meeting.
Right.
Or I have a couple of meetings I've had to start with my being on the cell phone,
Right.
just because you're running late. But okay, then
Right.
that's been helpful. The other apps, I think there's certainly a lot that can help the legal person, but usually in court, I don't use them. Certainly all the Westlaw and LexisNexis, those are back here at the office. So
Okay.
those are phenomenal for their ability. You don't have to go
Right.
search through
Right.
the 18 books anymore, so you can just do your search. So that's a big advancement from law school when I went.
Right, right. Now, one of the other things we talked about earlier as well is that a lot of the people that you work with now come to you based on referrals.
Right.
Can you take me back historically a little bit? Before that was a consistent stream, how did people find you, or how did you find them? Did you go out and find your own clients?
A lot of it, I think, for what we do is really the associations that we belong with. As I mentioned, Community Associations Institute,
Right.
because it's a national organization with local chapters. Belonging to that was one way to get the right type of clients and customers, because being part of that automatically said I'm involved with condominiums and cooperatives.
Right.
So that helped a lot. And when you don't have that automatic referral system in the works, it does make a difference to get out into various groups and let everybody know what it is that you are doing. Just because I'm a lawyer, that doesn't tell people enough information. You need to be a
Right.
little bit more specific.
Right.
And if you belong to a couple different groups, over time, they start referring you.
Right, right.
So you've got to sell yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for a lot of
Always.
business owners, that continues to apply. Chambers of Commerce, as you said, specific organizations tied to a topic, a profession, can always be helpful. And there's certainly lots of smaller organizations as well. So does that still help you now, even though you have an established base, or is that something that you could theoretically let go of?
Even though we have a good referral base, I think it would be unwise to not maintain those connections, because you just don't know where referrals will change from day to day.
Right.
So we still belong to the Severna Park Chamber of Commerce and take activities with them. We share spaces sometimes. They have their holiday parties over here in our office, and we do the luncheons over there. So you just, to maintain, I think you need to maintain that connection, regardless, with the various groups.
Right. Yes, I agree with that, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit specifically about the website and web in general, to what extent that fits into your business model?
The websites, at least for this firm, it helps, at least. I don't think we get necessarily that many client referrals because, as I mentioned, that comes through the management companies that we work with, the other attorneys that we know, homeowners in the area that are having problems with their association, or hopefully are the ones that are on the board and looking for an attorney. I think mostly for our website, a lot of it is the homeowners who need to pay a bill. They just don't have that letter in front of them, so they look up Elmore and Throop. It's a name they can kind of remember. They won't get my spelling right. Often, most people don't. But they can find our website, and then they have their phone number.
Right.
So we don't tend to use the website as much as we could to solicit, because it is more for us the word of mouth in that regard.
Fantastic. Taking a side step back to your personal history, you mentioned that your father was an entrepreneur, and that in general, for a lot of attorneys, a partnership track is something that is kind of ingrained in the growth process within a firm. But that still leaves that extra step to go towards partnership versus not. So what made you take that step, and was there something in your background that helped with that risk factor, if you will, of owning a business?
Well, as you had mentioned, my dad had run his own business. I saw the advantages of that. Certainly, there was the flexibility that if he wanted to be gone for a couple hours at different times, he could make that happen. He also had the control over the product that he created, which was very nice, rather than being delivered, this is what you have to do and here's your project, you need to create it. So I like that flexibility, I like the control factor, that's always nice, as well as the ultimate control over what firm you may work for and what type of law you want to do.
Right.
That's nice to have those choices that as an employee you may not have those. And then it just morphed into, as I mentioned, kind of when you go to law school, you start working at a firm. If you work at a big firm, everybody knows who's the partner or partners. You know that to be requested to be a partner, you're going to have to work hard, of course, but extra hard to shine above everybody else to get on that partnership track. I ended up working in smaller firms. The first firm, I knew I wasn't going to be staying there for a very long time. And then when I moved, that was in Michigan, I moved back from Michigan to Maryland, joined another firm, and wanted to be a partner. There was a difference of opinions, I guess, as to who would ultimately become a partner. Did they want another partner? Don't know all the details. But then switched, met Kathleen, and came over here, and I started, let's say I was probably working for about 3 years, and the conversation between her and I came up, and absolutely I wanted it. To me, I see it more of a natural line of I'm giving a lot work, time, and effort, so I might as well add in the financial aspect of that. It just seems to all come together as being a partner and being part of a business.
Big puzzle piece.
Right.
Now, to what extent do you and your partner actually, or have you in the past, set sort of an agenda for the climate within the company, the culture, and what impact has that had on directions you've taken as a team?
Well, I would say one big thing, it's kind of funny, years ago was we would always be suited every day, certainly the attorneys, generally some suit, and much more business attire. As the years have kind of come along, we've said, all right, obviously if we're going to a meeting, if we're going to court, and someone's coming with us, you need to be appropriately attired for that meeting or that court appearance. We don't have a lot of clients that come into our office unannounced, and dealing just with the files where clothing can get snagged and everything else that go on. We listened to what our employees wanted, which was, can we go a little bit more casual? So we did address and adjust the dress codes, and then it morphed again to casual every day. You know, there's certain things that we don't allow. We don't want the shorts. We don't want the 99-cent flip-flops coming in the office. But otherwise, you know, if someone is comfortable in how he or she is working, they're not fussing with being too hot or too cold. They're comfortable in what they're working.
Right.
So, and it hasn't presented any problems to going to casual. Everybody's worked it really well.
Seems to be a trend in many industries.
Right. Everyone's happier.
Yes.
Except maybe the dry cleaners.
Right. Yeah, they have a bit of an issue there.
That's right.
That's true. So, are there other aspects of managing a team that you have found surprising, challenging?
Probably the challenging parts could be requests that come through. You always want to be able to just say yes. Whatever the request may be, you want to be able to accommodate that, but sometimes you just can't, either because of the physical surroundings, in that there's not another station in that place that you want. This is an older building, so sometimes there's hot spots and cold spots. And if you've got certain groupings that you want to keep together of people, you may not be able to always accommodate that request. We certainly do try with family, because people have different needs at different times because of family members or desires for family. So we try to work with that, be it Wednesdays, go ahead and go swimming. You know, that's when your kids have swim class.
Right.
Or you want to be at home and you're a part-timer, so you want to work Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. All right, depending upon your job set, we may be able to accommodate.
Right.
But not always. Sometimes it's just, you have to look at the firm, but if it can be accommodated, it's a good way.
Yes.
That's good.
That's
Then everybody's happier.
That's certainly helpful. Now, you touched a little bit on free time. So what do you personally do to recharge your batteries?
For me, it's definitely tennis, because I like to play a lot of tennis. I feel better. I get to beat up on a fuzzy yellow ball, as I describe it, and just get some of that energy out, and then I feel so much better for having exercised. And then, to the extent I can, I like to go to my beach house and get out of town for a little bit.
Yes.
So that's always nice. The beach
Turn
is
it
a
all
great
off.
place to recharge, even if it's raining. That's fine. I'm at the beach, it's raining. Okay.
Yes.
Still a great day. Still
As
a
long
great
as you
day.
don't spend too much time on the computer while you're
That
at
is
the beach.
true. That's true. That is true.
Then
That's
it's not that
sometimes
much
travel.
vacation.
That's right.
That comes into play as well. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
entertaining this interview, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we've shared some interesting tips with our audience.
Good.
And we'll see you again at the next interview for Informed Entrepreneur.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.